On today's Habitz podcast, we've got Dianne Ashcroft, who's going to be talking to us about the importance of healthy feet. So what are some of the most common bad habits you see that people fall into when it comes to their feet?
Right, well, I'll ask you, if you had a problem with your foot, what would be the first thing that you did? I bet you'd go to Dr. Google, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah.
There you go, then. And when did Dr. Google get his podiatry degree?
Yeah, so you'd say people going and researching their problems online rather than seeking out an experienced professional?
Well, I think it's fine to go and have an initial look at Google and look at the sort of like range of things that it's telling you. But people trust the diagnosis that they perceive that Google is telling them. And then they'll come to me and say, I've got a so-and-so. Can you fix it? And I'll go, how do you know you've got a so-and-so? Has a professional person diagnosed that for you? Because what they might think is a verruca, I might think is a corn. I've been doing this job for 30 years. I've seen these things. They're just looking it up on Google. They don't know.
Yeah. So it's like, don't trust Google for the diagnosis. Have a little look and then go and seek advice, and then they'll diagnose the problem for you.
Yeah. It's like heel pain. If you have heel pain and you put into Google heel pain, what is it? 9 times out of 10, it's going to say plantar fasciitis. But probably less than 50% of heel pain is actually plantar fasciitis. So people then go treating, they'll go buying all sorts of orthoses off Amazon and this and that and the other thing, and they'll get on the Facebook groups and they'll be ranting about, oh, woe is me, I've had plantar fasciitis for so long and it's just not getting fixed. They've not seen a professional. They've seen a physio, they've seen a doctor, but they've not seen a podiatrist, the person that specialises in the foot.
So then would you say buying over-the-counter sort of treatments for something that is self-diagnosed would be a bad habit?
Well, yes, if that self-diagnosis is wrong. If they have coincidentally or accidentally or whatever managed to successfully diagnose it correctly and they've selected the right product, then, okay, they've probably got a 10% chance of it getting sorted out. But I think the emphasis that people put on trusting Google by just putting in a random search is questionable, personally.
Bad habit number 2?
Bad habit number 2. Well, it's not necessarily just foot-related, this, but as a society, we overbathe. Now, when I say we overbathe, we overutilise soap, right? And what does soap do? Soap is a degreaser, if you like. So if you're a mechanic and you're working underneath a car and you're covered in oil and all the rest of it, sure, you're going to have to use soap to get that oil off your skin. But, if you're a desk worker or whatever and you don't really get that dirty, you might just get a bit sweaty or whatever in a hot office. You don't need to be stripping out all the natural moisturiser in your skin with soap by showering 3 times a day. And it's been shown that your natural skin moisturisers, it's called filagrine, so I won't get into all the technical stuff about skin cellular structure, but soap strips out your natural filagrine, which is your natural moisturiser in your skin, and it takes your skin 4 days to reproduce that level of moisture. So people are showering more than once every 4 days, aren't they? People are using soap more than once every 4 days. There's a GP called George Moncrief. I think he's been on breakfast television and whatnot. I think he's annotated as the doctor who never bathes, or they put some sound bite like that on him. He doesn't say that, but what he says is he doesn't use soap. He uses a soap substitute on his skin. And so we've been conditioned, I think, since the Pears advert of however many years ago, it was 1940s or whatever, to associate being clean with producing a lather. And therefore, that's why we all have shower gels and bath bubbles and all that kind of stuff. So if you're sitting in a bath that's full of detergent, all it's going to do is strip out the natural moisturiser in your skin. And unless you are replenishing that actively straight afterwards, then it's going to lead to things like dermatitis, eczema, irritant skin problems, and it's going to weaken the skin and allow some of these microbes that I've been talking about, fungus, bacteria, viruses, into it. And so, your body's more under threat that way.
Would you say a bad habit is ignoring problems? Because I know, I do that myself. Like, when it comes to my feet, like I'll have something on my foot or whatever, or a pain, and I just think it'll sort itself out.
100%. And not wanting to be stereotypical here, Mike, Men are the worst. Men are the absolute worst for going, oh, I've got this. Well, if I ignore it, maybe it'll go away and blah, blah, blah. And oftentimes it's the wives or the significant others that will make an appointment for their other half to come and see the likes of me. I'll get messages all the time saying, oh, my husband's got this manky foot, whatever, and he won't go and see anybody. So I'm making him this appointment. I'm going to make him come and see you. Can you sort him out? And I'll go, yes, obviously I can. And they'll say that, oh, he's conscious about his feet and he's embarrassed about his feet and he doesn't want to show anybody. Look, I've been doing this job for 30 years. I've seen it. There's nothing that's going to walk into my clinic that I'm going to go, oh, that grosses me out. It doesn't gross me out.
So what are some of the good habits that people might follow that are listening to this thinking that they might have an issue with their feet?
Well, it's not just the feet, but I want them to look after the skin because, I'm assuming that all of your listeners, watchers, viewers, whatever, have got skin. And we need that skin to protect us and to keep the bad stuff out and the good stuff in. And that skin has got to have good integrity. To have good integrity, we need to not be stripping out the natural moisturisers in it. The way to do that is to use a soap substitute. So it doesn't have to be anything expensive. You can use any general emollient, usually avoiding ones that have got any particular preservatives in. So the one I'll usually suggest is something like E45 lotion. And the way you use it is you put it on your body dry. Then you rinse it off in the shower and then you pat the skin dry with a towel. You don't want to be excessively rubbing it. And then you re-moisturise the skin after that. And that is the best way to maintain the integrity in your skin, prevent things like dermatitis and eruptions of inflammatory conditions like eczema.
So use E45 instead of soap?
Correct. Emollient, if you want it in dermatological terms. A moisturiser as a soap substitute.
That's mind-blowing to me, that, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. And you see, it's going to mess with your head, that, because in your head you're thinking...
conditioned, haven't we?
You've been conditioned to go,
nice.
lather, clean. I need lather to be clean, and you don't.
I thought the harder I towel dry myself, the cleaner I am.
Well, you're exfoliating the top layer of skin, aren't you, by doing that? So then you definitely need to be re-moisturising that. And then the other thing is not over-soaking your skin as well. So a lot of people will come in to me and say, oh, I've soaked my feet before I came for you. Oh, lovely. How long did you soak them for? Oh, about half an hour. No, wrong. Think about it. When you go swimming, for example, and you're in the pool and your fingers and everything go all wrinkly, don't they? That's when your skin is quite vulnerable, really, because all the natural moisturiser are already eradicated, if you like, and you need to re-moisturise it at that point in order for it to maintain its integrity, keep the bad stuff out and the good stuff in.
So good habit number 2 would be?
Good habit number 2 would be, well, one of the common things that I see people for is athlete's foot. So I don't know if you know what athlete's foot is, but it's a fungal infection. And a fungal infection, let's think about fungus. What does fungus like? It likes dark, moist, warm environments. What have we got in our shoes? Dark, warm, moist environments. Typically, the area for fungus to lurk is between the little toe and the one next to it. And I'm going to be stereotypical here again and say, guys, do not take the time to dry between that area. So that is where fungus is going to lurk if you've got it. And it's important to find that out and get it treated because it will spread. Fungus loves to move. And let's think about it. So I guess most of your viewers wear underpants, or the male ones do anyway, wear underpants. And so what's the connection between your feet and your nether regions? Your underpants. And what are you passing your underpants over to get to your nether regions? Your feet. So if you've got athlete's foot, it's going to spread to your...
athlete's cock.
Correct. Well, it's called jock itch in the trade. Yeah.
And is it jock as in like jockstrap?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, of course.
There you go. Athlete's cock to
right, okay. So if you've got a case of athlete's foot, you need to be aware to treat other areas if it's suspected. But rest assured, I do not get the guys that come to my clinic to drop their trousers for me to inspect for that. I'll just advise them accordingly.
So a good habit would be make sure that you dry your feet properly.
Correct. You want to interrupt that chain of events that fungus likes. So, you know, it likes warmth,
so take
moisture.
away one of the...
Yeah, take one of the... exactly. I'm not going to give you my podiatry degree.
No, because I was thinking it's like the fire thing, isn't it? You know, like fuel, heat, oxygen. Just take one of them away and you can't have a fire. So logically, then good habit number 3 would be probably to check your feet. If you're saying that you might have fungus growing or, you know, so... Would you recommend people did that? I
would definitely recommend people check their feet because the feet get ignored, don't they? They're covered up by footwear, and unless it's the summertime and you're going to be out on your holidays, walking down the beach, walking down the poolside and all of that kind of thing, it's out of sight, out of mind most of the time. And it is important to be checking those areas. And how many people look at the underneath of the feet? You just don't, do you? Unless you're a blinking, you know, contortionist or whatever. So get a mirror, put your foot over the top, check the underneath of it, because it's those, what they're called acral areas. The acral areas are your palms and soles. So the acral areas are the areas where you can get things like moles, or if you've got a new pigmented area, for example, it's key to be able to identify those early, because I don't know if you remember Bob Marley had skin cancer. It was malignant melanoma that killed him in the end. And, you know, if that had been identified early and excised early, then, you know, he'd probably still be here playing reggae music.
So if someone does check their feet and they find something, how can they find you?
Well, as you'd expect, Mike, I'm on all the social media channels. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of that kind of stuff. I even have a YouTube channel. But if people want to get in touch with me directly, the best way to do that, if they want an online appointment or a video appointment or anything like that, it's my website, which is pottipurplepod.co.uk.
So thanks to Dianne Ashcroft for joining us in the Habitz Podcast Studio to talk to us about how to keep your feet healthy. If you've got any tips on feet, health or hygiene that you'd like to share with us, let us know in the usual places.